Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Shout at the Plate. We are getting ready for the World Series to start this weekend, Friday night. It's going to be between the Philadelphia Phillies, the sixth seed out of the National League, the Houston Astros, the one seed out of the American League. David versus Goliath, I think is one way of putting this. What do you guys
Yeah.
make of this matchup?
Well, that doesn't exist in baseball. Being hot is way more important than being good. Being good doesn't even matter, frankly. Like it just doesn't matter. Like it's crazy. Like we make all these predictions about who's going to do what in the playoffs, and then the Nationals win the World Series, and the Braves win the World Series, and the fucking other I don't know who else. What other nonsense teams have won the
Chip,
World
why
Series?
does it sound like there's a gremlin eating your laptop right now?
Wait, why is my sound bad?
It
There it
was.
goes. It's better now. I think you were
All right.
probably just rubbing against something.
But yeah, I 100% agree. If a team's got that dog in them in October, they can go all the way. You know,
It's literally just
we saw it with the Braves last year. We saw it with the Nationals in 2019.
That's what
Saw
the
it with
playoffs are.
the Rockies almost all the way in 2007.
oh yeah, the fucking Rockies.
That was nuts.
Dude, the Rock anytime the Rockies
Tulowitzki, Matt Holliday, Todd Helton.
Matt Holliday's
Mhm.
kid just got drafted, so we're all old. Uh, yeah, like it's literally all dog and vibes. The Yankees vibes were not great.
They were not.
So they lost. The Mets vibes were awful going into the postseason, and they lost. Um, Phillies vibes, on the other hand, were actually pretty good because they had a great last, half of the season. And they really looked terrific. I did call it kind of, because I did tweet in August that if there was going to be a dark horse sort of, you know, Cinderella World Series winner again, which there seems to be almost every year now, it was going to be them because they really do have the sort of pieces to when they burn to burn incredibly hot. Um, and like I mean, you have two bona fide aces, you have legit power bats, um, and you have an actually pretty solid bullpen. Even though you don't have to rely on too many guys because you get length from your aces. They had all the pieces. They were certainly a better roster than their record, and that is usually the case with these kind of Cinderella teams. They get it put together by the postseason, then the vibes are great, they catch fire, and they go on a run. That's what happens. However, however, the Houston Astros are also scalding hot. Their vibes are terrific. They have a ton
Astros
of
have
dog in
not
them.
lost a game in these playoffs.
They have a ton of dog in them, and they happen to have a top three roster in the sport. That's a lot. That's a lot. But it's baseball. Who knows? I'm not, I don't. I have no clue.
I think that's a great way of putting it, right? Like we can talk all we want and make predictions all day long, but you know, even if the vibes are right, even if the team is hot, it doesn't really matter. Things are going to go wrong, things are going to go right. You just can't account for these things. It's playoff baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It's the World Series.
Yeah, it's
Like,
variance ball at this point. Like
yeah,
I'm starting to
like
wonder how much of playoff baseball is straight up variance.
Well, the thing is, and yeah, you talk about the vibes of teams and, when they get hot, they get hot. But if the Astros win this World Series as a 106 game winner in the regular season, it provides some reassurance almost that the regular season does in fact matter. They'll have home field in this series. They, have the pedigree of being in the World Series, what now, four times in the last 6 years. This is a team that, we can go on for hours about how they got there a few times, illegitimately, I might add.
Legitimately, it's fine.
look, at this point, we're we're 5 years removed from the scandal. Look,
I
it
mean, Jose
happened. They
Altuve was
still
wearing a buzzer in
they
2019. Let's get
still
let's get that
okay. All right.
clear.
Let me finish my
3
thought.
years.
Let me finish my thought. They are a legitimate team, whether you like them or not. They are really good. They are chock full of star caliber players that are going to produce up and down the roster, and have done so for consistently, right? You've got guys like Jordan Alvarez who went cold in the ALCS, but he can do anything with his bat. You've got Kyle Tucker, who was, I believe, almost a 30-30 player this year. You've got Justin Verlander, who's defying age. Framber Valdez, who had a lights out season. Like, they have guys that will produce. And then that's not even to mention Jeremy Pena, the ALCS MVP, like a rookie who had to live up to the expectations of Carlos Correa and outproduced him this year. Like, this is a good team, and I don't think we can ignore the fact that they are a good team, history or not. They have been a good team for a long, long time.
And Chip, to your point, the Astros are not only good, but they are the hot team
Right.
at 7-0. So I mean, they have both on their side. And even though we've seen some turnover from their 17 championship season, this is still by and large a very battle-tested roster, a very savvy mix of veterans. Like Justin Verlander. Verlander was not on the 17 team, but he's Justin Verlander he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And then you've got the young guys, as you mentioned, Max, in Jeremy Pena, for example. And then you also have some of the holdovers from that 17 championship team: Bregman, Altuve,
Yuli Gurriel.
Gurriel. Was Tucker on the 17 team?
He was not.
No.
I think so. Okay. And I suppose this could come down to battle of psychology. You do have a very talented Phillies team, but maybe to this point they've been kind of saved by their youth. That it's maybe blissful obliviousness that has gotten them this far, that they can't really understand the implications of what they're in. But then you may have veteran poise. Who knows? Is it blissful youth? Now here's where I will concede. And maybe we can also talk a little bit about those Yankees. I'm not convinced that the Astros won that series so much as the Yankees lost it. That was ugly, ugly baseball. What was it? 50 strikeouts in 4 games.
I stopped keeping track after, the 18 or
yeah.
whatever it was in game 1.
Wait,
So,
what happened?
18? The Yankees struck out a lot in that series.
Yeah.
And the Astros struck out like 7 times in 4 games.
And Houston pitching was good, but I don't think it was that good.
Astros know what pitches were coming, and that's how they were able to, foul pitches off until they reached base. I mean, that was part of it when we were looking back at 2017, 2018, looking at those Astros teams, and they weren't striking out. They had been one of the worst strikeout teams in 2015 and 2016. And then they started cheating. 2017, 2018, their strikeout numbers were among the best in the league.
George, I don't want to hear it.
You're saying there's a conspiracy afoot here in 2022?
I'm not saying that, there's a certainty to it. This is me being extremely reactionary to, my favorite team losing in 4 straight.
Again. Yeah, again.
4 straight has never happened before. Don't say again. Yeah. Come on.
They've I checked the stats, guys. This sweep at the hands of the Astros was only the 5th time in Major League Baseball history where the New York Yankees have lost a playoff series 4-0. The 22 World Series, and that's a technicality because it was a tie in the 22 World Series. That was the year that they permanently reverted from a best of 9 to a best of 7. They lost the 63 World Series 4-0 to the Dodgers, 76 World Series to the Reds, and the 2012 ALCS to the Tigers. 5 times in their history. Now, I know that the playoffs have dramatically expanded. And not only that, the Astros are the first team to knock the Yankees out of the playoffs 4 times. And they've only been in the American League, 10 years. it's a nemesis.
Wild
it's
card
a-
game in 2015, ALCS in 17, 19, and 22.
the only thing I
Yeah.
can really compare it to, and this is a cross sport thing because this is what my mind has been on since the Mets lost that series to the Braves, in the regular season, is so for years, LSU was a
I knew
fringe
it was going to be college
contender.
football. I knew it.
Well, I told you that's what my brain's on right now. But for years,
Well, it's your
LSU
job. It
was-
makes sense.
well, yeah, well, that is what that is what I'm focusing on. But for years, LSU was a fringe contender, nationally, and they always had the talent. But they had to go win the SEC if they wanted to get to the national title, and then eventually the college football playoff when that started to become a thing. But the problem is they're in their division is Alabama, and every year it felt like they were going in as a legit contender with national title aspirations, and every year Alabama just ended it. Every year, and it was like we gotta beat Alabama. We gotta figure out how to beat Alabama so we can get these things, and that's the Astros. They are your Alabama, which is crazy and actually probably worse considering Alabama's just way more talented than everybody else, and that matters a ton in football. Whereas baseball, so much of it is variant and getting hot and getting bounces and all that, and a pitcher being on or a pitcher being off, and yet the Yankees still get the same result every single time against the Astros. That's actually kind of crazy. But it's going to define, in my opinion, the modern legacy of Brian Cashman, and the entire legacy of Aaron Boone, whether or not they could actually get over this and this one specific opponent. I really think if they beat the Astros and lose in the World Series, that's going to be a little bit of a mission accomplished.
It absolutely will be. I mean, Aaron Boone has been the Yankees manager for 5 seasons, 4 full seasons. They made the playoffs every single year. 2018, they lose in the division series to the Red Sox, which sucks. 19, Astros, ALCS. 2020, the Rays. It was in the bubble in San Diego. I don't count those playoffs as legitimate anyway. So,
Giants
and then,
fan too.
well, I mean, the Giants missed that playoff.
I was talking about the Dodgers victory. Go on.
The Dodgers victory. I mean, the Dodgers haven't won a real title since 1988.
Yeah, I'm not counting it, which makes it worse for me because if the Phillies win the World Series this year, that means the last actual world champions are the Philadelphia Phillies, the Atlanta Braves, and the Washington Nationals, which is not great. Not great, Bob. It's not my favorite. Thank God it's football season, and I don't have to care. But
yeah, let's get back to this matchup here that we have in the World Series. And Ben, I want to talk about something that you brought up: youth versus experience. Obviously, the Astros are battle tested. Phillies, this is their deepest playoff run since they went to the World Series in 2009. I mean, the edge in terms of postseason experience obviously goes to Houston. In terms of the managers, you've got Rob Thomson, who is an interim manager for the Phillies. Obviously, baseball guy, was in the Yankees organization for almost 30 years. Now he's getting a real shot to say, hey, I can be the guy. I can be the manager of a World Series winning team. On the other side, you got Dusty Baker, who is perhaps the only man who could have legitimized the Astros after that scandal.
love him.
He has never won a World Series
He
as a
hasn't?
manager. As a manager.
I was gonna say that dude's been in baseball forever.
He's been in baseball
unless he's
literally his
managing the
entire
Mets
life.
for all that time. He should have won one, but yeah, I got you.
The closest he got, he got to the playoffs a couple times when he was managing the Nationals. Closest he ever got was that 2002 World Series between the Giants and the Angels, when the Giants lost in 7 games. You want Dusty to get a ring. I don't know if I want Dusty to get a ring with the Astros. Rob Thomson won a World Series as a coach in 2009. Does he get a ring as a first-time manager? So what do you guys think of the strategy going in for two long-time baseball guys? One's a long-time manager, one's a first-time manager.
I think they're gonna really bear down. Meet with all their coaches, meet with their analysts, and I think they're gonna come to the conclusion that it's going to be pretty important to score more runs than the other team. No, I mean, like, look, like, it's so much of it is,
Chip.
so much of it is just in-game reaction and like how to deploy your bullpen and all that stuff. It's less about game plan. There's no, baseball is not a huge game plan sport, except for when you're game planning for a specific pitcher, specific hitter matchup. And that would take forever to break into. And I frankly, haven't like studied enough of, everybody on either team to do that. But I think it is easy for a rookie manager to overmanage in these kind of situations. Too quick of hooks. I think one really big mistake he could make is being too aggressive with the hook on his aces. Like, I think if you're in the fourth inning and they put a couple guys on base and give up a run, you have to give them the chance to get out of it because they are still your best option.
You're talking about Wheeler and Nola?
Wheeler and Nola, yeah, you have to give them a lot of rope. And that's one thing I think Terry Collins did a really, really good job of during the Mets run to the World Series, in letting DeGrom, Harvey, and Syndergaard pitch through stuff. And it generally ended up working pretty well. Obviously, it famously didn't work out at the very, very end. But that was still a good process decision, I think, because that's still a better bet than Familia, who had blown 2 saves in the series. So I think that
there's zero reason we could go on all night. There's zero reason to let Matt Harvey go out for the 9th inning.
No, that's pure hindsight. Of course, it was the right decision. But you need to understand. Like, I think you need to understand that you don't have to have a quick hook all the time just because it's the postseason and get trigger happy. Sometimes you just got to let your aces be your aces, figure it out, and have your best guy on the hill. And I think if remember we saw that with Kevin Cash with Blake Snell.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, look, I understand their process and that's what they do, but like, you got to consider who your best option is. And I think in that moment it was Snell. Even though he's pitching super, super well, like, so that's not exactly the situation I'm talking about, but it's, to sum this sort of rambling up, it's just about trusting your aces because they are what got you here. And if you're going to win, they're going to be the ones who do it.
I agree. I mean, I think one of the things about Philly as well, just as a city, is that it's a hard-nosed city. Guys like Bryce Harper will thrive there. He is thriving there, especially this postseason. And I think Rob Thompson, he's been in the game for a long time, especially coming from New York. He knows how the game is supposed to be played. From what I have read, he is like a good mix of the analytics, but also just good old fashioned baseball instincts. And I think that goes a long way in the playoffs, right? To your point, especially when it comes to taking pitchers out of the game and not being reactionary to a couple of things going wrong. I think that goes a long way. And, the Phillies have built something really interesting with their pitching staff that they got buy-in from both Nola and Wheeler early on, was that, look, we're going to manage you guys. We're going to manage your workloads throughout the season. We're planning for the playoffs. This is what we're building towards. And so far it's paid off. You look at their performances through the wild card series, the division series, the championship series. And sure, there were some fluctuations, but by and large, their numbers look really good. They looked really, really strong. And this is where you want your guys to peak and sort of let it go past their peak, empty the tank.
Yeah, I think in a long series, what Chip was just saying about not having that quick hook is really, really important here, because in a long series, you can say, all right, this is not, if you're down 1-0 after one game, Nola's on the mound, you got 2 on, a run in, you're already down, let's say 3-1 in the 5th. If he's going to give up a base hit here and make it 4-1, you're going to ride with him a little bit longer, because one, you want him to, get through it psychologically. I can step up and get out of the jam limit the damage, but also you got a long series and you're planning, if you're already down one game, you're planning for this series to go, I'm not saying go the distance, but 5, 6, almost 7 games. So you want to have that bullpen ready to go. And so, yeah, you're going to ride with your guys a little bit longer because he's only going to pitch. If Nola's going in game 2, he's probably going to pitch game 6 if you get there, and that's it.
Right.
And now when that exact situation that I described actually plays out in game 2, when the Phillies are down 1-0 in the series and down 3-1 in the 5th inning with 2 guys on, and Nola's in a jam, I'm going to come back and I'm going to clip this and I'm going to tweet it, and it's going to go absolutely bonkers viral. Guarantee it, dude. Guaranteed. So, who do you guys like in the series? Pick a winner, pick how many games, who's going to be your MVP. What do we think? I was going to save this for later, but I think we can get into it.
Houston 7. I'm going with experience, but then again, I'm saying 7 games because I lack confidence in that. I'm going with the depth of the roster, the experience level, the home field advantage, the veteran manager. I because of 7 games, yeah, I could see the Phillies upset, but they take it. That's my prediction.
I'm gonna go Houston in 6. I think like what Ben just said, the experience takes it, but I just think they're a better team and they can outlast, and we'll end up getting some lucky breaks here and there. And just creating chaos on the base paths and just manufacturing runs. Like they can do that.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to make a prediction, I think Astros in 5. I think I can't look at this Houston team and not see a team that is elite playing at the highest possible level it can, which is very high. I just think they're a death machine right now. I think they are truly inevitable this year, and I think they are just going to ground into dust any team they may play in the postseason. You could have 30. You could have. I think with this team, you could have 10 series to get to a World Series, and they would have a legit shot. They are just a wagon in every sense of the word, and they are playing their best. The vibes of Philly are great, but the Astros are even hotter. And they have been here. They have and this I think this matters less in baseball personally, but they have a gigantic chip on their shoulder, because they are, I would say, very motivated to prove that they are a legitimate winning franchise in the eyes of a sports fan base that has had reason to call into question their past success. Personally, I consider it legit. They're awesome. They were awesome. But they want to win a real one and show everybody who watches this sport that they can do it no matter what, because they are just that good. And I think it's going to be a cool narrative. I think it's going to be redemption story. I think a lot of the people, Yankee fans and Dodger fans, who are easily some of the least likable fan bases collectively in the sport, are going to be just freaking out about it. And I think it's going to be great. I'm rooting for it. I really am. The only thing I love more than a good villain is probably Dusty Baker. So I'd like to see the
That's a
Astros,
great line.
and I think they do in 5.
I wonder how much of that is the Mets fan rooting against the Phillies after the Braves and the Nationals. But
No. I don't.
we'll move past it.
I'm watching football.
I want to be the odd man out, and call me an Astros hater, call me biased, call me what you will. Red October in 5.
Biased Astros hater.
Yeah, Astros hater.
I hope you're right. I'd love to see the Phillies win.
Hear me out. Yes, the Astros have home field. The Phillies have stolen at least one game on the road in each of their playoff series. They won both in St. Louis. They won one on the road against the Braves. They won one on the road against the Padres. I think they win one of the first two. And I think that home crowd in Philadelphia is as wild as we expect it to be. And it does the trick. I think Philly doesn't let this thing get back to Houston for games 6 or 7.
You know,
I think,
to interject,
I think,
oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
think, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola are, going to be the best 2 starting pitchers that will face the Astros in this postseason, just in terms of where they're at and where their teams are at right now. You can say what you will about Luis Castillo and you can say what you will about Garrett Cole,
Very cool stuff.
Garrett Cole was elite this postseason, so step off. These 2 guys, it's going to be the stiffest competition that the Astros have seen in these playoffs. Like Ben said, the Astros, did they win that series or did the Yankees just completely shit the bed and lose it? I'm paraphrasing Ben, of course. But you've got such great chemistry on this Philadelphia team. Bryce Harper is playing out of his mind right now. MLB.com released the top 10 power ranking players of guys in this World Series. Bryce Harper's number 1. And yeah, the Astros had 2 through 5, but it was balanced. Like 6, 7, 8, and 10 were Phillies.
It was 5 and 5 in the top 10.
Yeah. So, Harper's playing out of his mind. You've got probably the 2 best pitchers in this series. Justin Verlander.
No, disagree. Justin Verlander.
He had a great regular season, shit the bed against the Mariners, and almost let the game get away from him against the Yankees. So I don't know if I fully trust Verlander. I trust Wheeler in game 1. And again, the Phillies are built like a team that is just going to mow through October in a completely unexpected way. If we were looking at this a month ago, I don't think when the 3 of us did our wild card round predictions episode, I don't think any of us had Philly beating, or no, Chip, you had Philly beating St. Louis, but none of us had Philly making it to the World Series. So
no, didn't I have the Dodgers though?
Well,
I think
No, I
we
had the
probably
Braves,
all
right?
had.
no
Is
one
it the
expected.
Dodgers
You
or
know, Yankees,
Braves?
Dodgers.
I had Yankees Braves.
Okay, I
remember that
certainly
much.
have the Yankees, but like I'm pretty sure
I
I
also
had
had
the
I also had Mariners over the Astros. So we were all wrong. You can't predict playoff baseball,
You
which
can
is
predict
why
that. You can, no, you can predict.
which is why I think the David will beat Goliath in 5 games.
They're not going to win in 5.
The Phillies have that dog in them.
Yeah, but the Astros have that fucking Thanos in them. Like they're gonna. It's. Yeah, no. I get it, but I will say
you have to remember just one more thing, one more note on the Philadelphia
for
fighting Phils. There is going to be reason for Nick Castellanos to hit a home run. I don't know what tragedy will befall the world to necessitate a Castellanos home run.
There's a war involving a nuclear power. Why would you say that?
Yeah, that nuclear power is Nick Castellanos' bat.
Oh my God, why would you say that? Dude, they're
We're all
literally
gonna
picking
die.
up false flags for stuff. You just caused it.
Yeah, in the seven views that this video will get between now and the end of the World Series.
We're gonna have another earthquake game. Castellanos is gonna go deep as the broadcast cuts out.
Quick aside on that.
Thanks. I'd much rather it be an earthquake than what I'm thinking. So thank you. I'm rooting for an earthquake at this point. Don't take that out of context.
The only reason why the 1989 Giants didn't win that World Series is because the A's got to throw their 1 and 2 starters twice. Just gonna say it. So yeah, Phillies in 5. Castellanos is gonna have a big series. Harper's gonna have a huge series. Rhys Hoskins is gonna go yard a few times. And I trust David Robertson and Sir Anthony Dominguez, who would have thought that a month and a half ago, other than, the fine folks living in Philadelphia.
I don't think
also,
they trusted them.
The Philly fanatic over Orbit 10 times out of 10.
Philly fanatic over everything.
Except for Blooper.
Bluebird?
Blooper.
Oh, sorry, now I feel...
Blooper, the Braves mascot.
Bluebird. Okay,
Oh,
I thought you
yeah,
said Bluebird. Like, do the Blue Jays have a mascot named Bluebird? Yeah, I know.
God.
Actually, a blue bird is not a blue jay. It's a different bird.
Yes, touche.
There are
Thank
two
you.
birds.
Mr.
Now,
That's
yeah,
George, I will
so
say that, like you're saying that I think the Astros are going to win because I don't want the Phillies to win.
I'm saying that's a
Like-
part of it. I'm not saying that's the
No,
reason.
and like I do have a vested interest actually in the Phillies winning because I do want to see another World Series defense. It's Always Sunny episode.
Oh, that would be so good.
And like they would totally do it. So
They did 2 episodes for the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. I think we'll
I
get
have a vested
another.
Dude, they would make a sequel to the World Series defense, which is very possibly the best episode of the show.
It's top 5 for sure.
It's top 3 to 5 at worst. So seeing another
A
one,
lot of good episodes in that show.
with a show that is still, on its game at a super high level. Like the Gang Goes to Ireland was hilarious. I want to see another World Series defense episode. Sadly, I don't think it's going to happen. But honestly, the more I think about it, the more I am actually rooting for the Phillies. Because my analysis is separate from my rooting completely. But like the conflict in me right now is trying to figure out whether the enjoyment from that episode is going to be worth the misery of watching literally every single other team in the NL East and probably next year the fucking Marlins win the World Series.
If the
over
Marlins,
Mets, who
if
will
the
never
Marlins win the World
Series
Series
ever again.
if the Marlins win the World Series in 2023, I will give you my car.
I don't want your car.
That is
don't
how
want your-
confident Skip Schumacher winning the World
Dude,
Series.
just give it to the Marlins. Like, donate it to the fucking Marlins. More people can sit in your car than go to their games. I mean, like, that would be the worst. That would be the worst. That would be the worst.
Well, there's no chance the Marlins win the World Series next year.
No, dude. But honestly, the Phillies, Nationals, and Braves back to back to back would be a literal nightmare. But the episode would be so good. So I'm in a lot of conflict. I'm in a lot of conflict right now. However, I'm like gonna watch like fucking 3 of the games because like it's football season, so whatever.
You're gonna watch 60% of the games then, because the Phillies are gonna win in 5.
Touche.
I mean,
So,
I'm not,
who do you guys
I
like
don't
for World Series MVP? If all 3 of you taking the Astros, I want to hear some good picks. I want to hear some Jeremy Pena's, Kyle Tucker's, Chas
love Kyle Tucker.
McCormick's.
Kyle Tucker's awesome.
Okay, I don't think it's gonna be Chas McCormick.
But why not? Remember when it was the guy from like Memento?
What?
Remember it was what's his name?
Steve Pierce.
Oh yeah, not Guy Pearce.
Talking about
Steve
Guy
Pierce.
Pierce from
Guy
Memento.
Pearce.
Steve Pierce. By the way, 2018 MLB did this thing on Twitter where it was like, pick the winner between the Red Sox and the Dodgers, pick how many games, and pick who the MVP is. And like 3 days before the World Series starts, I say, Red Sox, 5 games, Steve Pierce. I nailed that. So
That was disturbing. That was like the first year I knew you too, and I was like, oh, this guy's some kind of wizard.
Phillies, I'm gonna go first here. Phillies, 5 games, MVP, and I haven't gotten this right since that 2018 season. Phillies, 5 games, Zach Wheeler. I think he's gonna shove in game 1. I think he's gonna shove in game 5.
I'll make a reckless pick here.
Please.
Astros in 7, and Bryce Harper becomes the second
Yeah,
World
good-
Series
There you
MVP
go.
to win from the losing team.
That one that I
You're taking the Bobby Richardson angle?
But I'm impressed you knew that. Yes.
1960,
Bobby
of
Richardson
course.
2.0.
I
Also,
don't think that's how modern
how-
sports
Reckless pick.
works.
How in the world did Bill Mazeroski not win World Series MVP?
Because Bobby Richardson had 12 RBI.
He had 12
60 World
RBI in the
Series.
series. Bill Mazeroski hit the World Series winning home run. That is most valuable. Look at the CWPA, championship win probability added.
because this is
Nope.
1960 and the Yankees ruled the world, and there was bias in the voting. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they
And I
did.
say that as a Yankee fan.
Yankees cheated. Yankees cheated. The Astros get to cheat now. Dude, it would be so funny if the Astros win the World Series and then cheated and ended up cheating again. That would be so funny. I literally just hope they keep cheating. It's that Jackass sketch where Johnny Knoxville dresses up as the old dude and walks into the store and just starts taking stuff off the shelves, and the security guard grabs him and escorts him out, and he keeps taking stuff off the shelves. That's what I want the Astros to do. Just keep cheating and winning. Like if they're not really gonna punish you, just keep doing it.
Yeah,
doing
Rob
it. Although
Manfred.
the pitch com, their teams are definitely going to use the pitch com against the Astros. Let's like, I wouldn't use it against anybody else, but I would definitely use it against the Astros.
Yeah, PitchCom. I
But-
mean, in crazy postseason environments. I mean, Philadelphia in a World Series.
they're going to
How are they going to be able to hear
Yeah.
the PitchCom in
No,
their
they're
own
gonna
hats?
they're gonna get the one guy in Philly who knows computers and hack it.
Now I kind of wish we got Aaron and Jackson on for this because there are our two resident Philly fans.
Resident Phillies, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, but Aaron's a Steelers fan. He's not a real Philly sports fan. That's not fair.
I know, especially
Hey,
The
he
Eagles are
rooted,
6-0.
rooted for the Birds against the Patriots in 2018.
Okay, so
But that was
so did
also
the rest of
the world's
America.
easiest choice.
So did literally everybody except for me.
That
'cause I love
was such
Tom
a good
Brady, but,
Super
like,
Bowl. So
Yes.
MVPs, I went on about Zach Wheeler. What do you guys got?
Oh. I got Astros in 6. I'm gonna George took my pick. I'm gonna go with Kyle Tucker. You mentioned him earlier. I think he's gonna find some other gear and is gonna do some crazy stuff.
I think obviously Astros in 5, and I think the World Series MVP is going to be, I would say, the guy who is like the second or third best pure hitter in baseball right now, and that's Yordan Alvarez. Oh, it seems like a lazy pick just because he's so good, but he's true. Like you look at like every statistic, underlying standard, he is one of the 5 or 6, like probably a top 5 pure hitter in baseball.
He was a ghost in the ALCS, so you think he finds it?
Yes, yeah, I do. I just think sometimes that's how it goes. Like it's he just needs to have 3 insane, like he needs to have like 3 games where he goes yard and 1 where he hits 2, which could easily happen, and then like he's easily World Series MVP, like because they're gonna win. I will say, Ben, I don't think that a loser is ever gonna win the World Series MVP again, simply because that's just not
Right.
how modern sports culture works. Like that, like the MVP in sports is always, or at least in football, is best player on the best team, and it's always a consideration in baseball too, unless you do something like Otani did.
Who, by the
But,
way,
like-
is not the AL MVP this year.
No, he's not, and he's clearly not going to win it. Even though he's the best baseball player in the history of the world, clearly, I don't think that's even up for debate. Like nobody's ever played baseball at a higher level than Shohei Ohtani, because the only guy who's ever done this two-way thing was doing it against people who herded sheep like in between games.
That's
I
a
mean,
new one.
Like, come
I've
on,
heard
like
I've heard plumbers and like bakers. I've never
okay,
heard.
some of them were probably
They
bakers.
had day jobs. Like some of these guys had other jobs.
Like, yeah, no, I don't think there's any
You're
question.
telling me that the Oakland A's roster, who Shohei played 19 games against this year, or 18 or whatever, they played 19. I don't know if he played all of them. You're telling me that Oakland A's roster, those guys didn't have other jobs with a payroll of like 600K?
Okay. Well, no, okay, everybody but the A's does not have another job. People in the A's probably have other jobs, like even currently.
Standings next. I mean, predicting when we come back in April and do standings predictions, we're gonna have to take into account that these guys aren't playing 19 games against their division anymore. The Dodgers aren't going to be able to get fat on the Diamondbacks and Rockies. The Astros aren't going to get to play the
They're the
A's.
Dodgers. They're gonna get fat on somebody.
Balanced schedule. Everybody's playing like 12 games against their division opponents. So,
I mean,
but that's for another episode.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Dodgers can just go beat up on the Rangers or something.
Hey, Bruce Bochy knows how to handle the Dodgers. I cannot believe that the two baseball managers in Texas are Dusty Baker and Bruce Bochy. Two of the greatest managers in San Francisco Giants history.
Yeah.
Also, like, I love Boch. Why do you have to go to one of the teams that he beat in the World Series?
I don't think he cares.
Couldn't he have gone to the Marlins?
He got a
People in
3-year
California are
deal
moving
out
to
of it.
Texas. It only seems fitting.
That's fair. Says the guy who moved to California.
Exactly. Exactly. They leave, I come in.
So, you guys have anything else to add about the World Series?
Philadelphia Phillies winning the World Series, Your Honor. If I should have picked the Phillies just so I could say that. I feel I can't change it now. I made a whole thing about it. The Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, it's going to be a great series. Starts Friday night, 8 o'clock, I think, first pitch. Yeah, live out of Houston. Phillies Astros. Enjoy the World Series. We'll be back the start of the offseason. Ben, thanks for joining.
It was a pleasure, guys. It was good to see you.
Likewise. See you soon.
Yeah, Ben, I want to follow you to a place that's not Stores, Connecticut.
Well, get ready for your rent to double, maybe
Yeah.
more.
Well,
All right.
that's yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Good night.
Bye.